Life is too short to play small. You were designed for big things. Welcome to the Big Design Energy Podcast. I am your host, Marisa, and I am so happy to have you here with me. If you're curious about what it would look like for you to live a life truly extraordinary instead of settling for it could be better or it's not that bad, then join me as I share strategies, spiritual practices, and real-world examples to get you inspired and ready to make the life you dream of a reality. Welcome back to the Big Design Energy Podcast. I'm Marisa, your host. If you're watching this on YouTube, you get to see me dolled up after a photo shoot I just did. I used to joke that being cute was my hobby, and honestly, I think I might legitimately make it my hobby. Because why not, right? Doing my hair, putting on makeup, finding a cute outfit, just feeling cute, feeling good. It's a lot of fun. And pretending like I'm a model, ooh, that's even more fun. So, yeah, I mean, my husband likes to fish and collect Pokemon cards. I like to be cute. Checks with me. Works for me. So, this is going to be an episode I originally kind of was going to separate and do into two and, keep it short and all of these things. But we're going to be realistic because this is me and I talk. And I want to be able to flow through the story without feeling like I have to save a part here or there for something else. So let's dive in. Overall, this is really me sharing my personal experience with what it was like being sober for like 5 weeks straight. Now we're, I don't know, 2 months, so I guess 8 or 9 weeks into it, and only drank a few times since those first 5 weeks. And just what impact it's had on me. As I say 5 weeks, there's a voice that comes through in my head. It's not mine. It's trying to be mine, saying 5 weeks. Wow, that's so cool, right? 5 whole weeks. Wow, so impressive. That's like no time at all. How embarrassing. Why are you proudly proclaiming and celebrating this? Like, you should wait until you've hit 3 months or 6 months or a year or something actually more meaningful than 5 weeks. Well, no. That's not how I do things. That's not how I think anyone should do things. You should be able to feel the ability, the capacity for joy, celebration, all of those fun things, even if you're 5 weeks in. Like, what does it fucking matter? I'm 2 months in now, but what's 1 more month? What's 3 more? Celebrate it now. You don't have to wait for a huge, huge milestone. Little backstory. I have always had, how do I put this the way I want to? I started drinking in high school, very minimally. Then it escalated really quickly. Because at the end of the day, just like I would say almost every other human, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to fit in with the crowd, with the cool kids, and what the cool kids were doing was drinking alcohol. So I tried to take it to the next level, let's say. That was a major part of my identity, was this party girl who drank a lot of fucking alcohol. Carried that with me through college, a few years after college, since I graduated so early, so around the time when I would have traditionally graduated. And then left that behind. It no longer served me. But I still held on to this identity of a person who, like, I drank. Yeah, wine jokes, beer jokes, blah, blah, blah. All of the fucking things. Like, every time I go out to dinner, I'm going to get a beer or a wine. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I'm going to have drinks on the weekends because that's what you do, right? Every weekend, you drink. Why? Like, oh, because the week sucks so much while you're at work and you got to escape somehow? That's not good. That's not healthy. I don't like it. I don't like it. So this was different. I have not drank for the same amount of time multiple times before, obviously. I mean, I would always do these little cleanses, these little detoxes to prove to myself that, okay, I'm not an alcoholic. Because, like I said, I can put down an insane amount of alcohol and somehow still walk and talk, even if the lights are off, even if I'm blacked out. My physical body will still, not always, but still partially be able to function. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. But so I was doing these little cleanses, these little breaks to reset my system for the next binge, for the next thing, for the next party event, to lose a couple pounds, to do whatever. This time, I was so intentional with the reasoning behind this. And it was because I wanted to listen to my body. I wanted to hear what my physical body was telling me. I have been so in the spiritual. I'm trying to come back down a little bit, get into my physical body. So, needless to say, this experience was very different than others that went a similar duration. I have notes, so I don't forget. That's what I'm looking at. So, like I said, I was holding on to that identity. So it illuminated the common phrase. I'm sure you've heard this before. Stop holding on to what no longer serves you. Like, what are you addicted to? What are you just holding on to that you don't even want to be holding on to? Like, let it go. Why are you so attached? That's the word I was looking for. Attachment to certain things. I was attached to the identity of someone who drinks. Cool, fun, party girl. Just want everyone to like me. Until one day, it's like, that's ridiculous. Even still now saying that, though, the I'm not gonna just drink because it's the weekend, I'm not just gonna drink because I'm out to dinner, is almost like a foreign concept. This was so ingrained, so conditioned, such a pattern for years and years and years that you don't even. I'm going to switch between you and I, and if it doesn't resonate, then I'm not talking to you. But if it does, then it works. What was I saying? Okay, so it's so ingrained, such a pattern, so like second nature that it's almost unrecognizable. You think, oh, I actually want to drink, when in reality, your body is just conditioned to have a drink at this time. if that makes sense. Like if you have a long day, that's stressful. It's overwhelming. You're busy, busy, busy. You're doing all the things. Like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna need a drink. There was a day last week. I said those words. Today might be one of those days where I do need a drink. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see at the end. At the end of the day. Guess what? I felt happy. Just on my own. I felt complete. I didn't need a drink to make me feel better, to make me feel whole, to make me feel not what I was feeling, to shift myself. No, I was already where I wanted to be without a drink. It was a very proud moment for myself. I was very happy. Very happy. Now, maybe your thing isn't alcohol. Could be anything. If you have something where you are so attached to where you couldn't imagine yourself being a person who didn't do this, I would say, if you're ready, look at that attachment. Another one for me, eating meat, being a vegetarian. Can you feel my veins are popping? Ah, I would never, ever imagine I could be someone to even consider not eating meat. I am considering it now. Not forever. Maybe even just cutting back on meat, but wow. Who is Marisa without having to have a drink and without having to eat meat? The exact same fucking person? Deep down within, same person? Yeah. But this attachment to meat came from a few places. It came to also the attachment of my ancestry, my family history, my mother being born in Argentina, me being raised in Arizona. Since I have brown hair and tan skin, being in Arizona, everyone just assumed I was Mexican. So offended. So attached to the label of Argentina, Argentinian, Argentine over Mexican. So attached to that label. So what labels are you attached to? And part of the culture in Argentina, if you're not aware, is, red wine and a nice steak. So I just recently started barely dabbling in spicy food. But I was always well, you don't like spicy food? You're Mexican. Shouldn't you like spicy food? And I'd be like, well, first off, I'm Argentine and I enjoy a glass of red wine and a steak, so I'm culturally appropriate. Thank you very much. Who would I be if I wasn't drinking red wine and eating steak? Saying these things, I feel like it almost sounds silly, but if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I'm sure you can think of some examples for yourself. And if this does sound silly to you, then maybe you're not ready for this level of introspection or connection, which is totally cool. Or maybe you've already done it. Who knows? I don't know. But come back to this if you ever feel like you need to. It was really just numbing, escaping. Like I said with that example of suffering through work through the week and then being able to be free. Like I'm escaped. And I'm gonna escape even more mentally with alcohol on social media. Just binging Netflix, which, hey, I love a good Netflix binge, but not every weekend, not all the time, not every night, not every day. it was numbing my emotions, numbing my ability to really tune in and connect with myself. So I have been getting signs and messages very clearly since the beginning of 2022 that I needed to be sober, but took me about 6 months to hop on that train. It's okay. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen, right? During that time, I think I was only a couple weeks in, I was listening to something, I don't even remember, some motivational thing, spiritual, possibly a little bit, something in that realm. And the guy was talking, and it might have been a couple guys talking. One of the questions asked was, what is something you wish you would have done a long time ago? Instantly in my mind, the word sober. That's all I hear. Excuse me. And if you have heard me share this before, that's not how my mind works. My mind works the exact same way you are hearing me speak right now. Full sentences, on and on and on and on and on. Thinking like a singular word in response to a question that I'm not even, I don't want to say fully engaged, but I'm not like getting ready to answer a question. I was just listening, and then I had this divine illumination, this divine answer of sober. That was reassuring. That was reassuring that, hey, even if, at that point it was newer, like, even if I'm unsure if this is actually working, quote unquote, or if anything's happening or what have you, having this response that was outside of myself, it was reassuring to know. And even just these subtleties, these changes that I'm sharing, that I say, like, I feel like they sound stupid and crazy, but I feel like that's the mind trying to make me feel like I sound stupid and crazy for whatever reason, so I could just stay with what's safe, stay with what I've been doing on autopilot for the last however many years, and continue living the same life, eating the same food, drinking the same drinks, watching the same shit. Like, having the same energetic capacity. No, we're growing over here, right? One of the major differences I noticed was my quality of sleep and rest. I definitely didn't get like perfect sleep every night, but after drinking, you could sleep 12 hours and feel like you've slept nothing. It's very nice to be able to get this quality of rest and ultimately really just peacefulness. It's really what, especially for me, we'll bring in a little human design. As a manifester, right? Our theme is peace. And that's very accurate. When I am thinking of the life I want to manifest, it's peaceful. Like, it's not flashy. It's not really anything else besides having the peace, having the freedom, the ability to flow how I want to. And being sober is a huge part of that for me. Like, drinking alcohol in the capacity that I did, even having just a couple drinks, I notice a difference now. But really drains your energy, really makes it harder to the following day access my energy reserve, or what you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. And I want to be able to access that. I have a morning routine that I do that's pretty flexible, but I really enjoy it. It's meditation, connecting in with myself, with the earth, with the sun, the universe. And if I drank the night before or had a lot of THC the night before, my ability to feel connected, feel tapped in, feel tuned in, turned on. Abraham Hicks. Is shit. It's horrible. And then it's frustrating. Then I get in a bad mood. And then this could spiral into my whole day being bad if I let it. I don't. But you see how this could build upon each other. So overall, I'm just feeling amazing. I've realized that I am enough, just me, without having to have a drink because it's a weekend or because I'm out to dinner or having a steak or having long hair, being Argentine, being in this body, being where I live, the attachment to these things that we think are so important, that we think I would die if I couldn't do, like, I can't even imagine this. Another example I just thought of. Another example is lifting weights. So I've had a back injury, 2 bulging discs, L4, L5, S1, my lower back. I was in my early 20s. I was unable to lift weights how I wanted to for a while. I did work around it. I did a lot of resting, but I did a lot of other, different movements, weight adjustments. I found a way to make it happen. And now, one of the identities I am working on letting go of, not being attached to, is being a person who lifts weights. Then it goes even deeper than that, being a woman who lifts weights. And then even deeper, like being one of the strongest women at the gym. Every time I go to the gym, I am lifting, comparably speaking, the heaviest weight with women. And when there's other women lifting heavy, I get excited because there's a community and it's growing. But who would I be if I couldn't be the strongest woman at the gym? Who could I be if I couldn't be lifting weights at all? Who could I be if I couldn't move at all? Would Marisa, excuse me, would Marisa cease to exist if I all of a sudden became paralyzed and wasn't able to work out? Maybe not something as drastic as that, but, had another back injury, all of these things. Would I turn into a completely different person? Or would the core of me stay the same? I still enjoy having a nice drink. I still enjoy filet mignon. I still enjoy lifting weights right now. Shoulder day is my favorite, have to admit. But I'm not attached to it as an identity. Maybe you do yoga all the time. You're like, I could not imagine my life without yoga. I'm the girl who does yoga. I do yoga every morning on my patio and my plants and my dogs right next to me, or different career options. Attached to the identity of being a teacher, being an attorney, what do other people do? or the non-attachment you have to something you maybe are not super thrilled with. Maybe you're working a job that you are not thrilled with and you are ashamed or you feel guilty that you're not farther along, which you're exactly where you need to be. But now that's out of the way, this attachment to Ugh, I am not. I am not that. This is what I am not. Well, you're doing it. So what if you are this for right now? How does that make you any less of a person, any less worthy of anything? Right? It doesn't. The overarching message is I am enough. I am enough. That's what I've learned. And I don't know what's to come. I'm excited for the future. I'm so grateful for everything. I'm so grateful for this podcast, being able to come on here, share my thoughts, share what I've learned throughout the way. There's a lot that I've already said. I think I've said this before that I'm like, oof. But I know it's going to reach who it needs to reach when it needs to reach them. Overall, what being sober has taught me is just I am able to feel happy. I am able to feel full, complete, without having a drink. I don't feel like I need something to feel happy. I don't feel like I'm missing something and that like this beer is going to cure this hole. I feel complete. And then if I want a little overflow of happiness and I'm in the right mood and the situation's right, maybe I'll have a couple drinks. If not, I'm still happy, right? So, per usual, bounced around, covered a lot of topics. But I hope this is illuminating for you to see things you're holding on to that no longer serve you. And hopefully this explanation, my experience, has given you a better understanding if you were kind of felt like you were at a roadblock. I felt like I was at a roadblock when I first, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? I would have never thought made my way to the identity of a person who eats meat and lifts weights, right? How are you numbing yourself or trying to escape? You know, this is something else. That's another way you can see, like, what am I holding on to? Just what am I attached to? And just be kind, be gracious with yourself, be tender. And remember that you are enough and you are worthy, regardless if you live in a mansion and have a fancy career and a fancy car and look put together, or are working a job that's a stepping stone for your dream job, or are 30 pounds heavier than you want to be, or whatever, or are you just not quite there to stop drinking, or not quite there to stop eating sweets. That's a shout out to myself. Giving up sugar is harder than giving up alcohol. Saying it, quote me. But we're going to end it there. I can't wait to hear your stories of what you're holding on to, what realizations you had, what your experiences have been being sober, whatnot. Just let me know. And I will talk to you all next week. Thank you for choosing to spend your time here with me today. If this episode and the message I shared resonated with you and you would like to support the podcast, please share on your social media, share with your friends and family, rate, review, and subscribe. And remember, you have the power already within you to create the life you desire. Until next episode.